Okay, yeah. Yeah, I think it's working now. There we go. So, here I am again with another Masters of the Universe Origins unboxing. It's been a while since I've done one of these, hasn't it? It seems like it's been a few months. I think it was like maybe around Christmas time that I posted the last reviews that I did for some Masters of the Universe Origins. And I happened to find this guy while I was out at Walmart. Beastman, Savage Henchman. And as we can see, he is part of the LOP subset. And for those of you who are wondering, if you haven't seen my previous videos and you just don't know what LOP means, that stands for Lords of Power, which Lords of Power is kind of a subset in the Origins line where they're doing figures more based on production artwork and things like that. Because for those of you who don't know, Lords of Power was originally going to be the name of the line, but some dude at Mattel at the last second, like one of the executives, one of the suits, decided Lords of Power had too many religious connotations, so then decided they should change the name of it to Masters of the Universe, which has absolutely no religious connotations at all. Just ask the guys who did uh, that infomercial about what was it called? Deception of a Generation. Those guys who like barely knew anything about the toys they were talking about. They're just sounded like a bunch of grumpy old men who didn't know jack squat about any of this stuff. Like, oh, the Smurfs is an evil satanic show because it has black magic on it. Yeah, the bad guy does that, jackass. They didn't like Masters of the Universe because they thought it was saying that He-Man was the master of the universe, and of course only Jesus is master of the universe. So they they didn't like that He-Man was usurping on Jesus like that. So meanwhile, I'm sure Jesus is up in heaven looking down, being like, "Dude, they're just toys. Why are you embarrassing me like this?" I probably just lost some of my subscribers then. But hey, I'm up to like 105 subscribers now, thanks to my cousin Amy putting me on her show, and a few people from that thought that for some reason it would be a good idea to subscribe to this channel. I don't know, whatever. Well, if you're watching it, welcome. I'm glad you're here. If you're a long time subscriber, I'm glad you're here too. If you're just somebody who hasn't subscribed yet, why not? Just go ahead and subscribe down below, and you can get more quality videos like this, which I'm sure you're enjoying right now. So, this was out of the 4 figures in this assortment, which we can see Green Goddess, who's now called Eternian Goddess, Webstore, Stinkor, and Beastman. So he was the one I was least excited about because obviously 2 new characters that we didn't have yet. Those were probably the ones I was most excited about. But then again, you also had the Green Goddess, who's a character that has never existed in the vintage line. And we've got a Masters of the Universe Classics figure of her, but she's way too tall to interact with these. So I was really happy to get the Goddess because I'm a sucker for anything with the mini comics. And then we had this Beastman, which, unlike the Lords of Power Merman, where, like, I was a big fan of the artwork on the back of the action figure, which looked more like the production art than the actual figure. And as a kid, I was slightly disappointed in the Merman figure, and I wanted the one that was on the back of the package. Well, that Origins figure finally gave me that Merman that was on the back of the package. But this Beastman, I don't have any nostalgic attachment to. And in fact, Beastman was one that I thought really looked like the figure on the back of the package, so I was really happy with him. So I'm not sure how I'm gonna feel about this guy. But let's go ahead and take a look at him. He's got like the standard Masters of the Universe Origins package. It says Lords of Power on there. LOP, which I always think is strange that it has the Filmation style power sword. Whereas if it was going to have any power sword on there, it should probably actually be the Alcala design, the one that they actually have in Origins. They actually went with the Alcala design as opposed to the original toy. and this would have come much later. This Filmation Power Sword. So I don't know. Maybe they just used whatever clip art they had. But oh, let's look at the before I open up. Let's look at the artwork on the back. Always like looking at the artwork on the back. It's always really cool. Uh, this one's got Beastman facing off against He-Man, and it says Beastman's primal rage is a feral force that only Eternia's mightiest can hope to contain. And it looks like they're about to have a savage beatdown. So, and then twist into powerful battle positions. So let's go ahead and open them up now. So, as we can see, Beastman is not wearing his armor. It is separate from him in the package. Probably because it's got those big horns on it. It's very ornate. So then we have the comic book, Rock in a Hard Place. And if you have seen my review of The Eternian Goddess, you know that this is one of my favorite comic books in the entire line. This is actually probably, my number one favorite comic book in the entire Origins line. This is a fantastic comic book. And, it kind of used the idea that was also used in Revelations of He-Man, or Prince Adam, drawing on the power of He-Man even without the sword. But in this one, he doesn't turn into like a Caucasian Hulk. He just turns into the regular He-Man. But I loved this comic so much, and I can't recommend it enough. And if you want to see my full review of it, where I read the comic along with you, go and check out my Eternian Goddess review, and go ahead and give that a like while you're at it, if you haven't already, because that was one I was really happy with. So okay, we got the tray out of the package, and it looks like everything is held in here with this rubber band. We're going to cut that off with my handy dandy X-Acto knife. And here we go with this armor. I have seen people put that armor on Merman, and it looks really cool, like coral when it's on Merman. So I might have to get an extra Merman and an extra Lords of Power Beastman just so I can do that. And that would be the Lords of Power Merman too, of course, because, like I said, that one's my favorite. I'm glad they have the vintage version. I'm not complaining. I like that I have both. But yeah, if I only had to pick one, I would wind up picking the Lords of Power Merman. On the other hand, I think I would definitely pick the traditional Beastman over this Lords of Power version. So he has a completely different head sculpt. Again, this is more sort of based on the prototype artwork and the design artwork and the original prototype figure, I should say. And you can see that for whatever reason, like the eye makeup is like, it's not painted on there just as like a screen print or something. It's like that sort of dot matrix sort of pattern to it. I don't know if you can pick it up on the camera or not. But look down at the points at the bottom and you see how they're like a little more white. Well, that's where like the paint didn't quite reach down there for the blue. So he's got a blue upper lip, like what we're used to with Beastman. He's got these huge canines, almost like tusks. And then his face is a lot more sort of flat than the traditional Beastman. Whereas like this one to me looks like even more sort of like a Neanderthal or something like that. So, and then he's got these sort of claws on his forearms. This whole gauntlet thing, which I don't know if this is glued on or molded onto the figure. It looks like it might be actually molded onto the figure. I kind of thought it would be like a separate piece, like a little gauntlet that fit over it. But no, I think this is actually molded straight onto the figure. So that was not what I was expecting. He's got little teeny tiny Wolverine claws there, not quite as big as what Wolverine has, but I'm pretty sure this design would have come after Wolverine. So yeah, he'd be copying Wolverine if nothing else. So these are entirely new forearms. That's interesting. And also, I noticed that the furry detail on the forearms isn't quite as sharp as the regular Beastman. So this belt should come off. Because it's got a buckle here in the back. But I don't feel like dealing with the buckle, and I don't even have to, because these I can take apart. So I'm going to take that off, and I just want to examine the loincloth area underneath, and it's all this same shade of red. The belt is red, everything is red. So I really would have rather had like the mini comic version of Beastman, where it was just a regular Beastman painted all in red. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's nice that they made this, and it's a nice little bit of Masters of the Universe history. By the way, I don't know if I'd mentioned in the other videos. I might have even done those videos before it happened, but at some point in the past year, Mark Taylor, the creator of most of the He-Man characters in the first couple of waves, he passed away. So I guess it's nice that this figure exists as like a tribute to him, since it would have been his original design. But if I had to choose, yeah, I probably would have just gone with like the red version of the regular Beastman. So, and here's his armor with those kind of horns all over it. It's got like a blue gem in the middle. This just looks nothing like the Beastman that we know and love. I mean, other than the fact that he's like a furry, he's a Beastman. He's a Beastman, but he's not the Beastman. You know what I mean? So I'm probably going to use him as a completely separate character. I'm probably just going to call him Tree Man, which is what this character was originally going to be called before they settled on Beastman, which granted is a better name. It sounds more savage, more imposing. But, for this guy, I think Tree Man would be fine. And maybe he's not even really a bad guy. Maybe he's a good guy. Or maybe he's something in between. I think what I'm going to use him for is he's going to be the chief of Beastman's tribe before Beastman was kicked out of the jungle and had to go and live on his own and wound up finding Snake Mountain and becoming the henchman of Skeletor. Now, this is actually a repaint of a convention exclusive, and that version was colored more in traditional Beastman colors, which is what the actual Lords of Power prototype was colored like. Funny thing, I was having a conversation about that with Ricky of We Had That, and we were talking about this, and I was saying how how they were doing a lot of repaints and retools, like slight retools and things like that, and I talked about how Goddess is basically just a straight up repaint of Teela, and Faker is mostly a repaint of He-Man with a repaint of Skeletor's accessories, and then this Lords of Power Beastman is just a straight up repaint. And he's like, well, no, that's not a repaint. That's like, a completely new figure. And I'm like, no, it's a repaint of it's a convention exclusive. And he's like, no, it's not a convention exclusive. They're selling it in the stores. And I'm like, no, I mean, it's a we we were each right about what we were saying, but we thought that we were saying two completely different things. So he thought that I was saying that this was a repaint of the regular Beastman, and I was actually saying that it was a repaint of the convention exclusive. And then when I tried to explain that, then he thought I was saying that that this was a convention exclusive. So finally, we got it all straightened out. And I'm like, no, you don't understand what I'm saying. No, you don't understand what I'm saying. So that was a fun conversation. So, yeah, it kind of just closes up in the back like traditional He-Man, Skeletor, Man-at-Arms kind of armor. Unlike Beastman's that just kind of straps in the one strap in the bottom, the original Beastman. And then he's got this belt, and then he's got the claws that are, incorporated into his forearms. They're not a separate piece like I thought they might have been. And he has no other weapons whatsoever. There's no whip, nothing. So that's it for his weapons. Now, for those of you who don't know, Beastman was, at one point, originally going to be the main bad guy of the line. And Skeletor was going to be his henchman, who was like his court sorcerer or something like that. And I think at some point, somebody finally realized, Skeletor is a much cooler looking figure than Beastman. Like, even the Beastman they actually made, which I think is cooler looking than this one, I still think that Skeletor is better. But you can see how, some of the ideas were kind of starting with this version of Beastman. Like, he's got this blue gem in the middle that's kind of like the amulet that the actual Beastman has, and this one looks kind of like the amulet. That one looks a little more like the amulet, I think. But that one I kind of think of as being like a wheel on his chest with a gem in it. Kind of like how Conan has that necklace that looks like a wheel in the movie. You can see that, the horns, that are here on his shoulders, those kind of became the spikes that were in the furry collar that Beastman has. But I like the Beastman that we actually got much better. I will say that. Like with Merman, I will always think that like Merman probably should have looked more like that packaging artwork, and Merman, I would have wanted to have that Merman instead when I was a kid. But I don't think I would have rather had this Beastman than the other Beastman. And like I said, I'm almost thinking he could work as a completely separate character from Beastman because he looks that different. So yeah, he's going to be Tree Man, who is the chief. Maybe I'll just call them all. The whole race is Tree Men, and Beastman is just Beastman. But he's the chief of that race of Tree Men that kicked Beastman out, and he's more of sort of an uneasy ally of the heroic He-Man characters. So that'll be cool to have it. I like characters with a little bit of moral ambiguity. I mean, obviously, I love lawful good kind of characters like He-Man or Superman or Captain America. Those are some of my favorite characters. But I also like having characters that are just kind of like straddling that line between good and evil, and they could go either way. I think that's interesting. I also like purely evil characters like the Red Skull, the Joker, because they're the ones that are like they just like the ultimate threats that the good guys have to take down. Like and then you can have bad guys who have like a twisted nobility, like Destro or Doctor Doom. So there's all kinds of different characters. So but I like the really good guys, and I like the really bad guys, and I like the guys who are like various shades of gray. And I think in my He-Man universe, this guy is going to be one of the shades of gray. So he's pretty cool. I'm glad I picked him up, even though like I wasn't that impressed with him originally. But getting him on my hands, the only real complaint I have about him is that he doesn't have any weapons. I think but I have been with my new 3D printer printing out some new weapons. This is from a set of Masters of the Universe weapons and I think I'm going to give him this axe because I think that would fit this character pretty well. There we go. That looks pretty cool, doesn't it? So yeah, I found that on Thingiverse for like a whole weapons rack of brand new Masters of the Universe weapons. They even had their own version of the Power Sword. So, but there's this was I think like the coolest original weapon that was in there. Like, see how it's an axe, but it's shaped kind of like a dragon. I think that's really cool. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and all the fun YouTube stuff down below. Tell me what you think of this version of Beastman, and how does he fit into your Masters of the universe? That's awkward. So, thanks for watching. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.